This video is just intended to show how, if you're looking at different network configurations in your locality, specifically in Richmond, you can use the practice catchment areas to look at the data that the CCG will look at when they're deciding whether to approve networks or not. And this is in line with the requirement that networks have to have a boundary that makes sense to their constituent practices, to their patients, and to other service providers in the area. So I'm going to turn all the networks on to start with, and then we'll zoom in on those. And then what you'll see is that this covers quite a wide area. At the moment I've colour coded them roughly in line with the original maps that I sent out. And some of these are a little bit strange. So one of the Witten practices there, I think it's Woodlawn and England have some quite strange data from. But to start with, I'm just going to show you just the Teddington and Hampton practices, because that makes it easier to see what's going on here. So Hampton's in orange here and Teddington in blue, and you can see there is some overlap, but generally speaking you can see that those orange practices make a reasonably consistent area, as do the blue ones. And you can also break that down to an individual practice level. So within Hampton, if you want to see what the overlap is like, just turn Teddington off to start with. The sort of darker areas there are where there's more overlap of catchments. So where 3 practice catchments overlap, as here, it's darker orange. It's a bit lighter on the end where there's one practice that just extends, for instance, out to Richmond there, or down to Hampton, Wick and Teddington that end. And that's inevitable because practice catchments do overlap. So if we then say turn off the individual practices, so that's Hampton Medical, and you can then overlay Hampton Hill on that, then Fir Road, and then Broad Lane. And you sort of see where you are then in terms of the different practice catchments. And similarly, if we turn Teddington back on, you can then see where the overlap is there. So Hampton Wick has the largest catchment, and if you turn that back on now, you can see that most of the area there makes geographical sense. So that's just an outline of how it works for Teddington and Hampton. I'll look at some of the individual networks in other videos.